Jerusalem never ceases to surprise with its archaeological treasures.
Ancient secrets usually stay buried, but a shocking discovery beneath the Temple Mount has just come to light. Scientists used special cameras to look through solid rock and found rooms that have been missing for thousands of years.
Today, what we're going to do is to go underneath the surface and to discover the truth for what it is.
Inside, they found a stone basin covered in ash with words that describe a holy presence. It's been missing for years, but this discovery proves that the legends of the first temple are real. For starters, the size of this find is bigger than anyone expected. Hands down, this is the most important find in the history of the city. Mountain of Ancient Mysteries. Jerusalem rises from the hills of Israel like a crown of old stone. One part of the city towers above everything else because of what it means to the world. The Temple Mount is a 35-acre plateau sitting right in the heart of the old city. For billions of people, this is the most sacred piece of ground on the planet. People call it different names, but everyone agrees it is a place of deep power. To understand why the new discovery is such a big deal, the history of this hill must be understood first. It is not just a spot on a map. It is an idea that has shaped how people live for 3,000 years. Jewish history says King Solomon built the first temple here nearly 3,000 years ago. That building held the Ark of the Covenant and was filled with a holy presence. The innermost room was so special that only one person could enter it once a year. That temple was destroyed a long time ago, and a second one was built later. Then the Romans came and burned that one down too. The famous Western Wall that people visit today was just a wall to hold up the dirt around the temple. The real building has been gone for nearly 2,000 years, leaving everyone to wonder where it actually stood. For other faiths, this same hill is just as important. It is the place where the Prophet Muhammad is said to have gone up to heaven. The Dome of the Rock, with its big gold roof, marks that spot today. It was built in the 7th century and is one of the most famous sites in the world. Christians also find the hill sacred because it is where many stories from the Gospels happened. 3 different religions all love this one hilltop, which has led to many years of tension and even war. Deep under all of this worship and history are layers of buried secrets that no one was allowed to touch until very recently. Finding the start of this story means looking at the ground in a whole new way. Truth found in the trash. There is a strange problem that has bothered experts for over 100 years. The most important treasures in history are likely under the Temple Mount, but it is basically against the law to dig there. Digging at most old sites is easy. You get a permit and start shoveling. But this hill is different. The feelings about this ground are so strong that one wrong move could start a huge fight between nations. Because of this, the ground remained sealed for a long time. People could only stand on the edges and guess what was hiding in the dark. In the late 1990s, a group of people started digging under the mount without asking for permission. They were building a new underground mosque and moved hundreds of truckloads of dirt. They treated this dirt like trash and dumped it in a nearby valley. Experts were very sad because they thought thousands of years of history were lost forever. But 2 smart researchers decided to turn this disaster into a chance to learn. They started a project to sift through all that dumped dirt by hand to see if they could find anything left behind. Volunteers from all over the world came to help look through the piles of soil. Over the years, they found more than 500,000 tiny items. They found coins from the time of Herod, old jewelry, and even arrowheads from the Crusades. This was proof of people living and working on the hill for 3,000 years. But the most exciting part was finding tiny clay seals called bullae. One seal had a name on it that appears in the Bible. This tiny lump of clay proved that a real person mentioned in old stories actually worked at the temple 3,000 years ago. The dirt usually hides the truth, but sometimes it accidentally lets a secret out. Engineering the path to God. While people were looking through the trash, other scientists were using new technology to see through the rock. Since they could not dig, they used special radar that sends signals into the ground. These signals bounce back and show if there are hollow spaces or walls hidden deep inside. The scans showed something amazing. Under the solid rock, there were straight lines and shapes that did not look like natural stone. These were man-made rooms and hallways that had been hidden for a very long time. The researchers also found a massive network of pipes and water tanks carved into the rock. Some of these tanks were so big they could hold millions of gallons of water. When they tested the minerals in these pipes, they found out the system was built 3,000 years ago. This was not just a simple well, it was a very smart system that moved rainwater around to keep it fresh. It even had ways to stop the tanks from overflowing. This shows that the people who built the temple were masters of engineering. This water system was likely used for the many rituals that happened at the temple. Old books describe priests needing a lot of water for cleaning and sacrifices. The researchers found that one water tank sat exactly where the old altar used to be. This means the layout of the temple was perfectly planned out. Everything had a purpose, from the smallest pipe to the biggest wall. The deeper they looked, the more they realized that the temple was like a giant machine designed for holy work. These pipes led them closer to a part of the hill that had been sealed off on purpose. Those old maps were just the beginning of a much bigger mystery. The room where the spirit stays. The team of scientists had spent months making maps of the tunnels deep under the city. They used special radar tools and old books that most other experts thought were just made-up stories. But the scientists followed the hidden paths and old maps anyway. They didn't give up until they found something that made them stop breathing. Deep in a dark tunnel that was not on any map, the leader of the group saw something strange in the stone wall. It wasn't a natural crack, it was a wall built to look exactly like the rock around it. After days of careful digging, they broke through the seal. They found a staircase that led down into a small, closed-off room. This room was not like the other damp and broken tunnels they had found before. This room was cut perfectly into the rock and was very clean. The air inside was dry and cool. It was so quiet it felt like the room was holding its breath. In the middle of the room sat a stone bowl. It was simple but carved very carefully from a single piece of strong stone. Around the bowl there was ash and old oil lamps. They were placed in a way that looked like a ceremony had just finished. To the amazed scientists, it looked like someone had just stepped out of the room yesterday. But later, tests on the dust would prove the room had been closed for over 2,000 years. When they cleaned off the bowl, sweeping away dust that was thousands of years old, they saw writing carved into the side. It was in a very old form of Hebrew. An expert on the team read the words. They said that the spirit of the one who lives there never leaves. This sent a chill through the whole team. It wasn't because of the cold air, it was because these words matched the descriptions of the most holy part of the ancient temple. This was the place where God was supposed to stay forever. No one had ever found real proof of this room before. For hundreds of years, history teachers wondered if this place was real or just a story. The lamps found in the room gave them the answer. The clay and the way they were made showed they were from the 8th century before the Common Era. This fits perfectly with the time of the First Temple. This discovery is a huge deal. It turns faith into facts. For a long time, some people thought the stories of Solomon's temple were just myths. But here was a room, built with great skill, holding things that matched the old stories exactly. Someone a long time ago wanted to make sure this spot stayed safe. They likely knew their city was about to be destroyed by an enemy army. So they came up with a plan. They blocked the entrance with heavy stones and dirt to hide it from the world. They wanted to protect the biggest secret of their people. It stayed hidden in the dark, waiting for the right tools and the right time to be found. Secrets that change the world. Now that the heavy door has finally been breached, the world is forced to grapple with the reality of what lies inside. This discovery has triggered a storm of quiet urgency within the most important rooms of power. Behind closed doors, government officials, religious leaders, and diplomats are engaging in delicate, high-stakes negotiations. They are being incredibly careful about how they release this news to the public, knowing that information of this magnitude carries a weight that could easily fracture the fragile peace of the region. This hill is not merely a geological feature. It is the gravitational center for the faith and identity of billions of people. Finding tangible, physical proof of the old temple does more than just fill a gap in a history book. It fundamentally rewrites the narrative of the land itself. For some, the discovery is seen as a divine sign, a triumphant validation that the old stories are historical fact. For others, it feels like a dangerous violation, a belief that the sacred ground should have remained silent and untouched by modern hands. It is a situation of immense complexity, involving far more than just science. It involves the deeply held emotions and spiritual territories of a vast portion of humanity. To navigate this tension, scientists are now turning to even more advanced tools to peer through the veil of time without disturbing the Earth. They are terrified of digging too aggressively and damaging the structural integrity of the site. Consequently, they have deployed a cutting-edge technology that utilizes cosmic muons, tiny particles from space that constantly rain down on the planet to take X-ray-like pictures of the inside of solid objects. These particles can pass through thick stone, revealing voids and densities invisible to the naked eye. Scientists successfully used this method to find a hidden void in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, and now they are applying that same non-invasive scrutiny here. The prevailing theory is tantalizing. Researchers believe there might be more rooms, or perhaps an entire network of chambers left behind by the people of the past. They suspect that the room containing the stone bowl is merely a waiting room, an antechamber for something far more significant hidden deeper within the bedrock. This possibility has sent historians scrambling back to the archives. They are reading old books and scrolls with fresh eyes, wondering if they missed crucial clues. Sentences that were once dismissed as mere poetry or metaphor are now being reanalyzed as literal instructions or architectural maps. The truth is that we are only at the very beginning of understanding what is truly hidden under the ancient stones of Jerusalem. This discovery proves that the past is not dead. It is still alive, waiting patiently to be found. The people who walked this hill 3,000 years ago left us a message carved in stone intended to outlast their own civilization. They wanted us to know that their world was real and that they built something meant to endure for eternity. As more doors are located and more secrets are brought into the light, the story of humans will continue to grow richer and more complex. We must simply be ready with open minds for whatever the Earth decides to show us next. What if this discovery is only the first step toward finding something even bigger that could change your entire world? Could there be more secrets under the mount? Subscribe and like.